Arrived late for Manqele's sentencing. The 26-year-old woman was found guilty of murdering her rap star boyfriend Nkululeko Flabba Habedi at his Alexandra home last year. The first day of Sindisiwe Manqele's sentencing hearing is expected to be an emotional one. It was on this day, exactly 1 year ago, that she fatally stabbed the rapper known as Flabba to death. His daughter Lesego is expected to be in court today to face her father's killer for the first time. The 13-year-old has been absent from proceedings throughout the trial. She told her uncle Habedi that she's now strong enough to look at the woman who murdered her dad. All right, well, we're going to take you live to the proceedings at court. Sindisiwe Manqele psychologist Munya Mani is testifying.
Impression is that although the information obtained seemed reliable with no obvious attempt at exaggerating her difficulties, there was also a sense that she did not want to talk at length about her difficulties. Ms. Manqele was well orientated to person, place and time. Her vocabulary was adequate during the clinical interview. Her answers were appropriate with normal content. Though her thought processes were normal, most of her responses were brief, requiring further probing. No perceptual disturbances or thought disturbances were observed. Her mood was low and she appeared anxious at times. Her affect was reactive. She became tearful at various points in the interviews, especially when talking about Mr. Habedi and the events leading up to his death, and also when she spoke about her family and death of her parents and brother.
What do you mean that the effect was clear?
So when we judge affect, it is the way that a person's emotions are expressed. So affect ranges from flat, when someone is not expressing or visibly expressive of their emotions, and there's normal affect, and reactive affect, which means that when you're talking about something sad, the person looks sad. When you're talking about something exciting, the person is able to respond both in their tone of voice and their facial expressions in a way that corresponds with the emotion. Relevant assessments. Clinical interviews. The 3 clinical interviews were conducted, each lasting between 1 and 2 hours. The first interview was the shortest, lasting for an hour, as Ms. Manqele became overwhelmed with emotion. The Diagnostic and Statistical Manual for Mental Disorders, 5th edition, DSM-5. The DSM-5 is used by clinicians and researchers to diagnose and classify mental disorders. Ms. Manqele does not meet the criteria for a diagnosis of any mental disorder. She appears to have some signs and symptoms of anxiety and depression, although not sufficient for a diagnosis. Moreover, some of the symptoms are also in keeping with a normal response to a significant loss and with traumatic experience. Shedler-Weston Assessment Procedure. The Shedler-Weston Assessment Procedure is a psychological test which diagnoses personality patterns and disorders. It is scored by clinicians based on clinical observations and understanding. Ms. Manqele's scores indicate a good level of overall personality health. There is no personality disorder diagnosis. The scores also suggest that she may hold herself to a high standard, which may serve to ward off feelings of inadequacy and loneliness. She may be self-critical and at times require reassurance from significant others. Moreover, she may become attached to
All right, live there from Palm Ridge, the High Court, where the sentencing procedures have gotten underway after a slight delay this morning. The scene there of the accused, Sindisiwe Manqele, sitting with her head covered and listening to that first witness for defense in the mitigation of sentence, clinical psychologist Habedi Munyamani, who's been talking about the various pressures of the relationship and also highlighting once again what Sindisiwe Manqele has said throughout the trial, that she stabbed Flabba Habedi in self-defense. The psychologist also talking about the anxiety, the various anxiety that Manqele has been experiencing throughout this trial. But we do have our reporter there. We will get more from him as soon as they take a break from the court, and we will bring you updates from those sentencing procedures which are happening now at Palm Ridge. Well, staying with